I'm so fascinated by animals and just animal life and adaptation. I think it's one of the more interesting things about this planet.
Definitely.
Is these weird organisms that are trying to figure out their way to survival, you know, and
we're
they're
just one of them.
adapting and moving and changing, and we're always finding new ones. Like, I found a fucking snake. I posted it up on Twitter like a week or so ago. A snake that has a tail that looks like a fake spider. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that fucking thing?
I'm not sure. Do you know the species of it? I know the species. If you said the name,
I think it's from Iran, and it's a rattlesnake.
Scaled viper.
Yeah,
scaled pit viper. Is that it?
Yeah, it's a viper, not a rattlesnake.
Horned viper.
Yeah. Oh, horned viper.
Have you seen that thing?
I know what they are. Yeah,
it's
incredible.
It looks like a spider,
right?
And it tricks birds into coming down and try to snatch the spider. Here we go. The Iranian spider viper. Spider-tailed viper. Like, look at its tail. That is crazy. I mean, I'm looking at that in a video, and it looks like a bug.
Right.
And so this thing moves its tail, and it perfectly blends into the rock around it. Like, look at that.
Unbelievable.
I mean, that amount of camouflage and adaptation, like, how does that happen?
It's
like,
incredible.
Look at this. It's boom. Oh, gotcha, bitch.
Dunzo.
And the bird's like, what was that almost got me?
Yeah. It's insane.
What an adaptation. I mean, like, you see the anglerfish. That's a very bizarre adaptation as well.
Same thing, just out of the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. I mean, the fact that creatures can create that without, it's not like they're doing it knowingly.
Right.
Some handful of snakes at one time started waggling their tail and realizing that birds came in.
Yes.
Right? And then over generational time, this tail evolved little spikes and little things, and all of a sudden you have this whole population of animals that look like that. Like, that's insane.
I mean, what is it? How the fuck does that happen? I mean, how does something grow something like that? A lure.
Right.
Grows a lure off of its head. And it's like, hey, look, it's something for you. You want to eat it.
Look at that one.
Oh, my God. That's got a worm. I mean, that thing literally has like a fishing worm, like a bass worm. I mean, it's so amazing, all of this adaptation and all of these. Look at that fucking monster with a light growing. I mean, it's got a flashlight on its head. But it's so amazing how much adaptation there is and how all these things sort of work together, right? Like, there's the bacteria and the fungi and the plant life and the animal life and the predators and the prey, and it all sort of works together. And when something doesn't work, it just sort of drops off, and then the system sort of resets itself in a new order.
I mean, to me, there is you saying it's one of the most fascinating things. To me, there is nothing more fascinating. Like, I'm obsessed with it. I live for it because I find it so interesting.
Now, when you study these things, and do you ever try to think, like, how the fuck that happened? Like, if you see that spider-tailed snake, is there anyone that has, like, an idea, like, that this was just a lucky break, that this one snake had a freaky tail, and then he got to fuck a lot because he ate a lot of birds?
That's the idea, man. I swear to God, you just summed it up. Like, that is the idea. One or two or three snakes kind of got this adaptation.
Just a random
genetic sequencing that led to maybe a white blotch on the tail. Something unique.
Doesn't it not seem like that, though? It seems like they fashioned it.
But over time, they did, but over millennia, right? Over thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years, what happened was, say there's two snakes with a white spot on their tail. Then they have a baby and it has a little bit of deformation, right? A little thing sticking out. Then that snake all of a sudden catches more birds than the rest of the snakes. That snake now reproduces offspring, and its offspring that has a little bit bigger of a spike catches more birds. And so those become the prized animals to reproduce with, to continue the gene pool. And so that's what happens. It keeps evolving. It's like a peacock, right? It's got this crazy big tail that it's attracting mates with. It's not useful to the bird. That's entirely made for showmanship, for peacocking, if you will. And over generational time, it gets bigger and crazier and more elaborate and more colorful, and the females literally flock to them, and that's the animal that continues on.
I really wish there was a way, and maybe there will be sometime in the future, where they're going to be able to show you with, like, some sort of supercomputer sequencing, where they'll be able to look at the DNA of this thing and say, oh, this is the exact progression.
Right.
This is what it started off with, and this is what it became.
Right.
This is how some sketchy-looking forest chicken became a peacock.
Totally.
This is how some freaky snake became perfectly adapted to its environment. I mean, that thing looks exactly like the rock that it sits on.
It's perfect. Yeah. So it is incredible. Like I'm like you. I'd love to know who patient zero is. You know, who's the first one?
Yeah, because stupid people like me look at that and they go, okay, well, that's got to be a plan. There's got to be something. There's a higher power. There's something that like is looking after these things and making them evolve this way.
Right. It's. I mean, it's super interesting.